Okay, welcome back to Legal Aspects of the Small Business, BA 121B. I'm Sarah Holtzclaw, your instructor. In this particular module, we're going to talk about licenses, taxes, and insurance, all fun stuff that we all love to talk about. However, they are all very important aspects of owning a small business. So let's dive into it. All right, I'm not going to go through the disclaimer again. Hire a professional, especially when it comes to taxes. Okay, so we're going to talk about business regulations. We're going to talk about some licenses and permits. We're going to talk about taxes, unfortunately, both federal and state. And we're going to finish up with talking about some insurance, things that you can need to think about getting. All right, let's first talk about some of the basic regulations of owning a business. All of businesses have to be registered with the state and with the county. Some of them are registered with the state. Sole proprietor and partnerships are registered with the county, but they all need to be registered with the state. You need to have a physical address when you register your state. You can't use a P.O. box, so you need to have a street address of some sort. That doesn't mean you can't get your mail at a P.O. box, but when you register your business, there needs to be a record of where that business, a physical address of that business, so that they know where to find you, they know what state you really are in, so that you can't be in Virginia registering yourself in California. Licenses vary depending on the type of business that you have and your location. There will be licenses that the state will regulate for certain businesses. There will be certain certifications that you need to have in order to open a business or to be running the business. If you're running a massage parlor, there are certain certificates that you need and that your employees need and that sort of thing. There are other regulations that Alameda County, San Francisco, Santa Clara, that sort of thing have, and they differ by county. So you need to make sure you know where you're located and what you are up against. And then cities can regulate things as well. City permits and zonings, all of that. So your location is very critical as to where you want to put your business, as to what kinds of licenses you need. If you are having an at-home business out of your garage, out of your living room, out of your office, bedroom, whatever it is, that has comes with its own regulations. So you need to look into it all. There will be some links at the base of the module, so take a look at those. There are some specifically for Fremont. Those are used as an example of where the kinds of things that you can do, but Newark, San Jose, Milpitas, Union City, Pleasanton, um, Oakland, San Leandro, all of these different cities have different zoning laws and have different permitting processes that you need to go through. So make sure you know where you're located. And it may be that before you even think about where to locate it, that you want to do some research as to what the taxes are for businesses of your kind, what the zoning permitting process is for your kind of business. They may not allow your business in certain places, or they may, if you want to open a food truck, it may be more difficult in one city versus another. So you want to take a look at it and see prior to even starting your own business. All right, let's talk about federal employment taxes. We're going to go into state employment taxes in just a bit, but these are some of the federal employment taxes that you need to think about. There is a self-employment tax. As I said earlier in one of the other modules, in the employee hiring module and the contracting employee contractor module, somebody who's self-employed pays both sides of the income tax, and so that's called a self-employment tax. So you are taxed differently as a small business than you are as an employee. So you want to make sure that you're doing that properly. And then once you start employing people, there are other taxes that you need to withhold. We've talked about withholding some of them, but FICA stands for the Federal Insurance Contribution Act. And there's a certain percentage of a person's earned income that has to be taken out of their paycheck for Social Security and for Medicare. It's, there's 12.4, 2.9 for Medicare currently, but those can differ, those can change, which is another reason to have some help when you're doing these particular when you're working with employment taxes and such. You also need to withhold income taxes from from an employee, and that comes off their W-4. The W-2 is what you give them at tax time. The W-4 is what they fill out in addition to that I-9 that we talked about in an earlier module. That W-4 is what they've asked you to withhold, and they make the decision as to how much is withheld. They know how much they want to have in their paychecks. The more that they are the more money that's withheld, the smaller the paycheck, but the bigger the tax refund um, or tax payday, as I say, come April comes in. And then there's also the um, estimated taxes that a small business what you will want to do on a regular quarterly basis. You'll estimate the taxes that you'll pay in sales or in other types of whatever your business is, so that you then can not have one big lump sum. You'll pay that on a quarterly basis. California has its own set of taxes. You'll pay there's both the employer and the employee contribute into unemployment taxes. Um, so you'll pay your share of unemployment taxes as the employer, but you also want to withhold the employee's unemployment taxes and send it in for them. It's part of a national program um, that is regulated by the Social Security Act, but it's done by state by state. Then you'll also want to talk, you'll have what's called an employment training tax in the state of California, and this funds the employment training panel, and they promote training, and in healthy economy they'll in a labor market they promote different training opportunities for employees, whether they be incumbent employees, meaning that they're already working, or they're unemployed companies. But the idea is to skill those people up so that they can be productive workers. And then in California, that comes out of the employer's contribution. You'll withhold state disability insurance from the company, and then of course you'll the income tax. And state disability is a temporary benefit that the employee pays in case something happens to them and they have to be off of work, and it will pay for some of the time and replace their income while they're out of work. Every county has, and some in cities have different sales tax that you'll need to also look into and pay. You'll charge additional dollars to your customers. You got to know what you are selling. Food currently is not taxed in California, so other goods and services are taxed. So you need to know what that tax is. So some particular taxes, cigarettes, alcohol, they have additional tax in addition to it. And you want to check with the California Board of Equalization. That will give you a list of all of the taxes and all of the different products that um, have additional taxes, gasoline, those sorts of things that have additional taxes that you need to be aware of. Okay, so every city, every county is different when it comes to licenses and permits. I've said that before. There really is no consistency. You cannot guarantee that one city requires a license that the next one will too. You just have to do your work. You really just have to do your work, and it again depends on the kind of business that you want to open, um, and it depends on where you want to be located. So because um, there are development zones for different kinds of businesses, tax breaks and that sort of thing for different kinds of businesses. So you really just need to do your homework. Um, Examples are Newark and Fremont, as I've said before, they have completely different zoning laws. So the examples on Canvas are Fremont. You want to look at that same thing. If you're not going to be in Fremont, you want to look at it in the city that you do want to be in. You might also, as I said before, want to look at all the neighboring cities to see if they're any different, so that even if you are located and your home is in Newark, you might want to locate your business in Union City, for example. So you never know, but you got to do your homework. One of the really great sites that you want to look into is the Small Business Administration. That's it's a federal site. There's also small business development corporations. There's one in Oakland, there's one in Walnut Creek. Different counties have them. Some of them have different offices, multiple offices around, but you want to check into the Small Business Administration site, because that will also has a wealth of information, and many of the different modules that we've got here on Canvas will cite a different section of the Small Business Admin site, but you need to take a look at it, spend some time on it, because it's very, very helpful. Okay, let's talk a little bit about insurance. Um, you never want to use insurance, but you always want to have insurance. So as a small business owner, there are several different things that you have to have, and then there are some things that you want to have. Workman's compensation is insurance in case your employee gets injured on the job, and it covers medical expenses and the loss of income. And it's something that you have to have as an employer. And if you'll remember way back in the employee versus contractor section, we talked about whether or not one of the trigger points is whether or not if that person is a contractor, that they have their own workman's comp insurance. If they do, then they own their own business, and that will be that's, like I said, a trigger point that you'll know that they're a contractor versus an employee. When you own your own business, you need to have your own workman's comp insurance. Social Security or state disability insurance is required by law you are required by law to withhold um, insurance from an employee's paycheck in the state of California. And there are different kinds of plans. There's the general state plan, which is usually the most popular and the one that most people use. There's also a voluntary plan that employees can sign up for. And then there's a plan for you as a self-employed person. Of course, you're going to want health insurance. So, and different kinds of health insurance for your business and for your employees, for you as an employer, but also for your employees. So you want to make sure that you are doing what you need to do under the Affordable Care Act. The different kinds of business insurance, general liability, as a business, you should not be without general liability insurance. It covers just the basics against if somebody hurt themselves on you or in your store or at your restaurant, if injuries, accidents, even your negligence will cover. It includes bodily injury, personal injury, property damage, slander, false advertisement. All of those things cover under general liability. It's kind of the umbrella of everything. Product liability is something that covers if something happens to the product that you're selling. And so if something goes wrong with that product, if somebody gets hurt by that product that you have sold, then your product liability insurance would kick in. And that product liability insurance varies depending on the type of product that you are working with and selling. Professional liability insurance is something for, say, um, doctors, dentists, accountants, and those kinds of things. So it covers any errors or omissions that they would have in their profession. Property insurance certainly is something. It's also called commercial insurance. It covers if something happens to your buildings. It covers stuff if there's fire or flood or a theft, any of those types of things to the actual property. So general liability would cover you, and but commercial property insurance would cover the actual um, real estate if something were to be damaged. Home-based businesses can cover their own and put some additional insurance um, that covers your house and your home. It's kind of just an additional piece of insurance. Just to cover both your loss of income, because your home is where you do your income, and then it covers a little bit more insurance for the actual building and the property that's inside of it. And of course, if you've got automobiles in your business, you'll want to make sure that you are covering those as well. Okay, so here it is again. We're at the end of this module. This is a particular one. There's a lot of links, of course, because we're talking about taxes, insurance. So look up the Small Business Administration. Take a look at some of these links, and you will be able to dive in a little bit deeper into the whole subject, because this is an area that you do not want to ignore. Thanks.